Hey Guitar fam and friends, what's going on? It's Nate here. I'm happy to bring you another cover song lesson. This was probably, it had to be the #1 most requested song for the 2023 Guitar Fam survey as far as leads, guitar solos. It's going to be the first solo for the Dire Straits song, Sultans of Swing. We'll get to the second solo as well. I just wanted to divide this up into more than one lesson because it'll end up being an hour-long video. We'll probably do like an easy rhythm guitar for this too, so you can jump into the rhythm guitar behind it. Okay, as usual, we have the tab and the jam tracks for you on the Guitar Fam site. So if you haven't already, go to guitarfam.com, create your complimentary account. You'll be able to access the first module of all of our premium courses that way, and everyone can access the cover song lessons there. Like I said, the jam track and the tab are waiting for you. Okay, this is a textbook fantastic solo. Like this whole song actually is awesome for learning how to play over guitar chord changes with the Cage system and using arpeggios to do that, because it's an extremely musical solo. You can sing both of these solos in your head and you can hear them very melodic, but you're going to see as we dig into this that he's really leaning in heavily into the arpeggio shapes to play over the chord changes of the chord progression as they go by. So if like you're wondering, how do I get out of just using minor pentatonics or pentatonics in general to play over chord changes, this is a fantastic song to add to your kind of hill to die on songs to learn, because it will show you exactly how to use arpeggios and cage shapes up and down the fretboard to play over chord progressions. And this chord progression doesn't fit. There's a non-diatonic chord for the key of F major. It's in the key of D, like D harmonic minor or F major, and the A7 in there doesn't quite fit the key of A major, so it's really good. You have to think about the arpeggio shapes. You can't just get away with using one pentatonic scale. All right, as we go through this, I'll teach you each lick over the chord progression that's going by. The chord progression is very important to know, but I'll also explain to you what chord shapes or what pentatonic scales I think about or that jump out at me as I'm playing these individual licks too. Okay, first things first, we need to talk about the chord progression we're playing over, because like I said, this is a textbook example of how to play over chord changes using chord shapes, like using the Cage system, right, and some pentatonics. So you can think about this as being in like D harmonic minor or F major with just an A major thrown in there. We'll take it one little progression at a time. Don't want to overwhelm you with this, because you'll see once we get into it. The first progression is just D minor, so it'd be a 6. Next chord is a C. Next chord is a B flat. And then we have an A7, which is where the harmonic minor thing comes in. So we can't think about F major all the time, or just regular D natural minor. We have to think about that A7 and consider, but the way he's playing this, we're really considering each individual chord as we play over it. So now with that in mind, let's just go ahead and dig in. Think about that chord progression, memorize it. It's good to be able to play it. To just think about it, to get into your head. And yeah, let's just go ahead and dig into it. So we start off with our first base of operation is this D minor right here. A minor shape for D minor, and the minor pentatonic that goes along with that A minor shape. And all this is covered, or will be covered, in the Cage Roadmaps course once it gets out. Okay, so the first lick, just lick by lick, it starts over a full measure of D minor. So you have this 8th fret of the B string bent up a whole step with some vibrato, and then kind of leave it bent up, let it down like a half step, and bend it back up twice for that first measure. So next measure changes to a C, and we just do that again, but bend it up and let it all the way back down. And then you have not a trill, but a hammer on from 6 to 8. And I'm still thinking that D minor pentatonic. So, and then 6, 8, 6. The hammer on, and then the next little hammer on is just 5, 6, 5 with some vibrato. Okay, so that's the first lick, and I'll explain to you what's going on as far as the note choices and chord shapes as they change. But just get this down first. Here you go. Let me just play it slowly for you. Okay, and this is like a textbook example. Again, the first thing I'm doing I'm just bending up to the 5th of D. And I do that 3 times total on that first measure, then do it again. And when I let it back down, I'm playing the 5th of a C. So I'm singing this C bar chord E shape for that note. And then it moves to a B flat. I'm thinking this B flat that uses the E shape for that trill. And that's, I can see that's the 5th of my B flat. And then I'm seeing this A7 right here. And for that line, I'm just walking down C, B flat, A for the chord progression, so I can see 5th of C, 5th of B, 5th of A. Or if you want to do the whole shape. Okay, so that is where that's coming from, and it's very, very good and very important to be able to see chord shapes like this as you're improvising. And just hitting whatever notes you can out of those chord shapes is going to result in probably something really cool sounding. Like this is a great example of that. All right, so one more time slowly. Here you go. C, B flat, A7. Okay, and from there we have this next little lick. I'll play it for you. Okay, and this is all over an A7 chord, and all we're really doing is going up an A7 arpeggio. It's the C-shaped A arpeggio. So if we move to C up to where it becomes an A, this root note right here on the 12th fret of the A string, that's the shape. I'm going over and playing the 5th on the 12th fret of the low E string, but I'm playing a harmonic there. So harmonic on the 12th fret, just barely touch it, right? Harmonic on the 12th fret, then same thing, harmonic on the 12th fret of the A string. So that is our root note of our A arpeggio, and then we just continue up the rest of the C arpeggio shape, this guy. And that's, we'll get into the rest of it, but we start on the 5th, and then harmonic on that one, then harmonic on the root note, and then we switch to regular fretted notes. So that'd be 12, 12, 11 of the D string, 9 of the G string, 10 of the B string, and 9 of the high E string. So, and again, the best way to get, like I say this every time I do a solo lesson, but the best way to get the rhythm down for this stuff is to just listen until you can sing the solo on its own. That way you don't have to deal with the rhythm. The rhythms will come more naturally to you. Okay, so I'd really recommend just listen to this thing over and over again until you can sing it. That's the way I learned it. Okay, so this lick you can see, I'm basically playing, I'm just doing the harmonics first. From there, you switch, the last note for this is a 12th fret of the high E string, and you bend it up a half step and let it back down. Okay, and that completes those 2 measures of A7 on their own. Okay, all right, so let me play the first 4 measures of the solo for you, just so you can get an idea of how it all fits over this chord progression. Here you go, 1, 2, 3, 4. The next measure is just a D minor, a full measure of D minor, and we switch to our thinking to this D minor chord in an E minor shape. And he's just comes down the arpeggio for that particular shape of a D minor. He's literally just coming down that shape. So it'd be 10 of the high E string. I have to roll my finger over to get 10 of the B, and roll my index finger over again to get 10 of the G string. So I need to flatten my finger out really for the starting of this enough so I can get all 3 of those strings roll. And I kind of like to let the notes ring over one another. I can't remember if he does. I let them ring out a bit over each other, but I am rolling as I go, so there's not too much bleeding over. And then I end my descent on the 12th fret. That's the root note, the D of this E minor shaped D minor chord. So, okay. And then I have 10, go back to 10 of the B string, and that's kind of the last note of the D minor before I'm thinking about going up to this 13th fret of the B string, which is a C note. And I'm thinking about this D shape for that C. But he's just targeting the root note of a C over that C chord, because the C chord is only there for 2 beats. And then the next, and you can think about this C, about just a normal C chord, or you can think about this D. The important thing is you hit a C. And then the next little lick is just 11, 13, 11, hammer on, pull off. 11, 13, 11 on the B string. And all I'm doing, I'm hitting a B flat, hammering onto 13, and going back to a B flat to land on the B flat, if that makes any sense. So I'm targeting the B flat note for the B flat chord. So, and then for the last little 8th note of that measure, I have the 9th fret of the B string, which doesn't fit the key, but he's coming in to the next note in measure 7 that you see here. The next chord change is an A. He's targeting the A right there on the 10th fret of the B string. So that's what he's going for. And I just see this A chord that's a D shape right there, just coming in from a half step below to an A over the A7 chord. And then there's this little kind of quirky thing that he does. I'll just show you what it is. He goes, and he's just kind of dancing around this A note right here. That's all he's really doing. He goes open G, and it's kind of a choked. That's what the dot over that is. That means to cut it a little short. And then 11 of the B string, right there. And he's just choking that with his thumb, probably. And that's what that little dot over that note is. That just means to cut it short. And the same thing on the next note. He goes up to 11, cuts it short with a little bit of vibrato. And then he has 2 muted notes, one on the G string, one on the B string. And then he goes 9, 10 with a hammer on there. And all he's doing is just kind of dancing around this A. He comes into it from below. And then another muted note, probably with his thumb on the G string there. So let me play that whole measure, those 2 measures over the A. I'll do the pickup 8th note before that too. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let me play the next 4 measures for you again over the, it's just the same chord progression again, the D minor, C, B flat, A7. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, this is where the chord progression changes. The next 2 measures are just F, and after that there's 2 measures of C, so we'll just take that little chunk. So for the F chord, I switch my thinking to just an F major pentatonic that has your lowest root note starting with your pinky, and this G shape is the chord shape that I'm thinking over as I play. But it's traditional minor pentatonic, right? But instead of thinking of it as a D minor pentatonic, I'm thinking of it as an F major pentatonic. Here's the first lick over the F. I'll play it for you, then we'll break it down. Okay, so you have to bend up the 12th fret a whole step, hold it, play the 13th fret of the B string with your pinky, and then bend that 12th fret of the G string up again. And then your pinky has to flatten out and grab the 13th fret of the high E string too. Grab that. And it should be holding down the 13th fret of the B string too, and so you want that next. And then the whole time you're holding this 12th fret of the G string up, hit it again, let it down, and then to go play this F note here. That's kind of the resolution, this F note on the 10th fret of the G string 2 times. Second time, put some vibrato on it. So I want to isolate that lick. And then up to speed ones for you. All right, the next 2 measures move to a C major. And all I'm really doing is thinking, you can think about the C major chord right here. The regular C major, open C, just up an octave, or you can think about the D shape. They're both, that little D shape is part of that C. So here's the actual lick. Okay, so I'm really just seeing this shape and kind of dancing around it. So what I do is I go 12 to 13 on the high E string, back to 12, and that note is in the chord. That's the third of the chord, right? It's an E. So 12, 13, and I think he slides up to this and chokes it. Once he gets to 13, he stops it and mutes it. Then back to 12, and then 13 of the B string, and then 12 of the G string, and then 14, pull off to 12 on the G string, and then back to 13 3 times. And that's the root note, that's a C. So everything's kind of leading towards that resolution there. But you can see he's just dancing around that arpeggio, so. And then rest on beat 4 there. One more time, slowly. And one more time up to speed. All right, from there, the song moves to a B flat for 2 measures. Let me just play the lick for you. I'm thinking about this B flat as far as a chord shape. I'm thinking about this little D shape, really. So this B flat right here is my home bass on the 11th fret of the B string. And here's the lick. So all I'm doing is thinking about this B flat as my home bass. I bend 13 up right here. Some vibrato, leave it bent, hit it again, let it back down, 11, that B flat there, then go to 13 and bend it up 2 more times, let it back down as it rings out with some vibrato, and then you want to jump back to 10. And this is kind of alluding to the D minor that's coming up, but that's the last note in that measure 14 over the B flat, so 10th fret of the B there. So over the B flat you have this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that sets you up for the D minor that's coming next, and the D minor that I'm thinking about is just this D minor E minor shape, and I'm thinking about standard minor pentatonic 6-string root note as I do this. Let me play the lick for you. Okay, let me play it up to speed now so you can get and I'll play the 10th fret of the B string before, because that's kind of the pickup into the lick. Okay, so as you doing this, try to visualize this chord, D minor chord, E minor shape, and this E minor pentatonic, this D minor pentatonic using the 6-string root note shape. So you have this pickup, 10th fret of the B string, and then we're all the way fully into D minor here. 13, 10, pull off, then roll over to 10 of the B string, roll back over to 10 of the high E string, then 13 on the B string, bend up 1 full step, and get a little ghost note there, then 10 of the B string, and then you just go 12, 10 on the G string, and then you slide down. So one more time slowly. Okay, so once you slide down from 10 down to here, you're about to go into a B flat major chord, and this is another perfect example of how to use arpeggios to play over chords. All he does is he goes to this B flat down here, A shape, and he just goes up, and he sees just this partial little A part of it. Like if you're making an open A chord, and you move that up a half step, put your bar down, that's a B flat. So I'm just gonna use those notes in that A shape, even though I'm playing a B flat there. So 3rd fret of the D, roll over to the 3rd fret of the G, 3rd fret of the B, and then pinky goes up to 6. Play 6, and then you go back to 3 of the B string. So I'm going. Okay. That's a great example. I'm thinking about this A shape here, but I'm also thinking about this G shape because it's the next shape up, and that's where this note on the 6th fret comes from. I'm also thinking about this major pentatonic for B flat, starting with my pinky on the 6th string. And I can see that shape in there. I think I end up doing pull-offs, but I think he actually picks all the notes in there. Like that. And then you have a rest in the next measure, and that's where he moved to a C. And he takes the exact same idea and moves this arpeggio, this A-shaped arpeggio, up to a C. And he has a quick kind of sweep. Something like that. So I am seeing this G shape right here, and C major pentatonic, 6th string root note, pinky starting. And what he does, he kind of rakes up on the 5th fret of the D, G, and B strings. Then he plays 6th fret and slides up to 8 and kind of chokes that note. And then back to 6, back to 5, and then back to 6 again, and slides up to 8, and then slides back down. And let me play that whole thing for you. One more time, a little bit slower. All right, let me play those last couple measures just from the D minor through the C. So. All right, one more time, a little bit faster. Okay, from there he goes back and he does the same lick over the B flat. So just back to a B flat, A shape here. This time after he does that little 3 on D, 3 on G, 3 on B, 6 on B, 3 on B, he plays that whole chord. He pinches it or strums it, whatever, and slides up to 5. So he's going from the B flat to the 5 using a chord, this time a little triad. And then you have one lick over the C to kind of finish things out. So, one more time, a little bit slower. And then you have 5, 5 on the D and G strings, 7 on the G, back to 5 on the G, back to 7, full step, reach up with your pinky to grab the 8th fret of the B string, leave the 7 bent up, hit it again, let it back down, back to 5, back to 7, full step, and then don't let it back down, just hit it, bend it up, and then come back down as you mute it, like that, and then just 7 on its own with some vibrato. Okay, so this is interesting because it's just using this major shape, this G major shape for your C, or C major pentatonic classic shape, just pinky starting root notes, right? So your root notes are on the C's this time. So okay, just getting into that from that B flat. And again, the best way to learn the rhythms for this is to just listen over and over again until you can kind of sing it back. That'll make learning how to play it, once you learn where to put your fingers with the tabs and everything, a lot easier. Let me play from that last D minor for you all the way to the end here. Okay, one more time, up to speed. All right, that's it for this one. I plan on doing the second solo, the one that most people think about when they think of this song, coming up as soon as I can. And then again, we'll do kind of a rhythm guitar lesson for this one too, so you can play along to it. If you have any questions about this or anything, any questions in general, leave them in the comments below or email us support@guitarfem.com. And if you need some extra help, you can always go to guitarfem.com and schedule a personal private one-on-one lesson with me. The first one is complimentary. I'll be looking forward to meeting you. I'll see you later.